It says here that Army Special Forces raided the wrong hotel room during a mock raid at the Revere Hotel in Boston. The highly trained lethal force, and the FBI. Can't give the Army all the accolades on this one. No. Received bad information, and instead of raiding the room with the training cadre, they busted down the door of some poor Delta pilot. They handcuffed him and stuck him in the shower for 45 minutes before they realized they messed up. Now, I am left here to ponder that if they can't get the right info on a training exercise, where they literally make their own info, what happens when they're done with OPP? Next thing you know, this poor bastard who's supposed to be flying, 250, 300 people over water, land, whatever. Well, he's busy being waterboarded by the FBI and the Green Beret. Nobody believes him when he says, no, this isn't me, because everybody thinks that's part of the exercise. Of course he's going to deny it. I mean, let's unpack this for a moment. U.S. Army Special Forces. They were conducting a mock raid in an occupied civilian hotel. Not a Motel 6 or a Super 8 or some other joint where you get STDs. No. The Revere, a 4-star, well-known hotel. I mean, I'm willing to bet they're only going to be 3 stars by the end of the week. Was sleeping, had the door kicked in by the FBI and Green Berets, then waterboarded. 1 out of 10 stars would not recommend. Now, far be it from me to criticize the planning of what I'm sure involved numerous staff officers, general officers, senior NCOs and their FBI counterparts, whatever those are. But this just seems like it was a bad idea from the get. I mean, I'm just a lowly infantry sergeant, but I did earn 2 college degrees in 1 week. Who thought this was a good idea? Ironically, what I do know for certain is that this stupidity was fomented by the Good Idea Fairy, a magical creature who, while not rare in the annals of military history, not by any means, possesses the ability to turn anything they think about into complete shit. You know what would be good training? What? What if, and stay with me here, but what if we used an actual civilian hotel to practice our MOUT and TTPs? What, like an abandoned hotel? No, sir. A real in-use hotel with real people. I don't know, First Lieutenant. Think about it, sir. You will be the best company commander in the battalion. But see, they are paying guests. There are paying guests in that hotel. You'll get the Meritorious Service Medal for this. Your innovation of training. Meritorious service medal. I'll be a shoo-in for major at that point. It baffles the mind. Truly baffling. And after that, I feel like I need to have a drink for the poor Delta pilot. Hell, I need to have a drink for the poor junior NCOs who are probably going to foot the blame for this farce. Up to the bar. Hello, you salty bastards. Those of you who have taken incoming, and all you sweet unsullied civilians, welcome. Now, before we get mired in this episode, if you enjoy this quality content, like and subscribe down below. If you don't like my content, like and subscribe anyway, and be off on your merry way. Who's it hurting? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached another provocative episode of Before the Mast, a show where I, your magnanimous host, drink all the liquor so you don't have to. Tell you stories that are absolutely true. If you follow me on Instagram, handle below. Whoever edits this thing is a fucking asshole. Thanks, Dick. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Planter's punch, you forgetful fuck. Ah, yes. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know that I love Planter's Punch. I make it every Thursday. Drink it by the vatful. Don't try this at home. Sailor. Trained professional. Tonight we're having a special treat. A Planter's Punch recipe that I have hitherto never had. You keep using these 50-cent words in your 10-cent videos. Fucking relax. Have a dram. I'm about to. Calm your tits. While one may think of whiskey as the quintessential American liquor, rum built this magnificent mess that we call the United States of America. Now, admittedly, I already did a Planter's Punch episode way back in episode 26. Check it out. But see, the great thing about Planter's Punch is that there is no set way to make it. There are so many variations, and unlike many other tiki staples, you wouldn't be wrong making it differently. All you need to do is remember this. And now, a poem. 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, 4 of weak. That's it. That's all you need to remember. Let's unlatch the Laka Laka liquor locker and see what bottles we're pulling today. Incidentally, and I don't know if this is really factual, but this is what I hear. This is the scuttlebutt. Myers rum was made specifically for Planter's Punch, and I can believe it. It's got really nice molasses and chocolate tones. Great rum. Great rum. It's been getting a bad rap lately because of all these other rums flooding the market, but Myers, tried and true, you can't go wrong. You'll need Angostura Bitters, lime juice, and simple syrup. Well, let's build this thing. And there it is. Planter's Punch. Myers style. Bottoms up. That is good. That is really good. Now, if you're a fan of Planter's Punches, then this is great. If you like fruity but not too sweet, this is great because you can regulate how much sweetness you put in it. The Myers website is where I lifted this particular recipe. It calls for 3 ounces of Myers Dark, 1 ounce of lime juice, and 2 ounces of simple syrup, and 1 dash of bitters. I found that to be a little too sweet. So I shortened that simple syrup down to about 1.5 ounces, maybe a little less, and I find that just hits the spot. The Myers really shines through. This is like a drink that you can really appreciate that dark molasses-based rum with. Now, this is not a plug or a paid sponsorship for Myers. Although, if there is anybody over at Myers or anybody who knows anybody over at Myers, I will happily plug your product every episode. Not looking for, $500 a month. I just want a bottle of rum. God, that is good. This might be better than the Planter's Punch I usually make on Thursdays, but this is more boozy. The beauty about Planter's Punch is you can make it however you want. It's all up to whatever floats your boat. Cheers. Speaking of floating boats, or the lack of buoyancy thereof, sit right back, cuddle up on your favorite bar stool, and let me tell you about the guy who sank the most U.S. Navy boats since the end of World War II. This guy, well, he may look harmless enough, but only if you aren't a floating aluminum box. See, in my time in the U.S. Navy, I sank 8 boats. More precisely, paint punts. Now, these little green workhorses are much like the boat your grandpappy hooked a 2-stroke to and then took you out fishing on the lake in. Except for the Navy's version didn't have motors. No. We got to row your boat. You gonna tell them what you had for oars? Did the Navy want us to row around an amphibious aircraft carrier and paint the waterline? Yes. Did the modern mobile mighty Navy provide us with oars? No. We used brooms. You will never feel quite as low as you feel when you find yourself in a dinged up dinghy sweeping the water with a broom. But this story isn't about sailors sweeping the raging main with brooms. No. This is a love letter to all the boats I've sank before. Sorry, I had to fit that in somewhere. I always seem to end up temporarily assigned to side cleaners. This is a group of guys who are inevitably covered in paint. They start work before everybody. They get off work after everybody. and they conduct the never-ending task of painting the sides of the ship so that it looks pretty while it's in port. Can't have your warship looking like it's been out at sea. No. All of this while taking all the jeers and insults from some guy with a giant coffee mug on the pier whose sole purpose in life is to say, "You missed a spot." My first run-in with a paint punt was kind of annoying. First, we had to carry this thing out of the ship. It weighs like 250 pounds. Lower it into the water, then climb down a rickety-ass metal Jacob's ladder that's covered in barnacles while carrying a 5-gallon can of anti-foulant paint. That weighed almost 100 pounds. And all of this while you're wearing a nice little blue hard hat. That'll come in handy later. The paint punt had a crew of 2 soggy bastards who were not allowed to come up until the job was finished. One guy to paint, and the other guy, as we would find out soon, to constantly bail out water from the boat. So I get into this thing, sit my ass on the aluminum bench, and immediately come out with a soggy ass. I figured we probably just splashed a little water into the boat while lowering it down. Now me and my friend Luna, we started sweeping the water and rowing the boat to the bow to take advantage of the incoming tide. We weren't even halfway to the bow. Not even halfway. Now, I will say that our ship was 900 and something feet long. So, when I started to feel my feet get wet, I looked down and noticed there was a good 4 inches of water. 4 inches of water in this boat. Only like 3 inches of freeboard. There should be an explanation for what freeboard is for all you land people. We immediately stopped rowing. And we started using our hard hats to bail water out. Nasty ass San Diego Bay water. But our attempts were futile. We got to the nearest Jacob's ladder, hauled up the can of paint, put it on the pier, and we got up to the pier just in time to turn around and see that one final corner of the boat slip gracefully below the water. That was one. A couple of weeks later, we had a new boat. Well, new to us, because USS Peleliu's deck department operated under the mantra of one ship's trash is another ship's paint boat. This time the bay was pretty rough, and it was really cold, but our fearless leader, bosun mate second class, who kind of looked like Magnum P.I. and Higgins had a short little baby. Well, he was determined to get us painting that water line, didn't matter how. We did protest this, but this was back in the day where you only protested once, and you probably weren't going to get a satisfactory answer, but you just accepted that. So back down into this sad little boat. Somehow, we managed to keep this one on the surface. That is, until a sea tractor, should be a picture right there, went blowing by us. Well, we were facing this guy's wake broadside. Luna and I desperately swept the water trying to turn our bow into the wake so that we would ride over it. Well, that's exactly what didn't happen. Our efforts were in vain. That wake nailed us right on the side, tipped us over. We had to swim back to the pier and climb up Jacob's ladder and inform our fearless leader that we had misfortunes, and they involved losing his boat. He was not exactly sympathetic, but we did get an ass chewing there. A big ass chewing. Anyway, that was number 2. Where was I? Ah, yes, boat number 3. God, this is delicious. If you don't have Myers, you need to go out and get you some right now. Well, unless you've been drinking. I mean, don't go driving. But go get you a bottle of Myers and make this concoction, because it is good. Number 3, that's where I was. Number 3 was anticlimactic. After our previous cataclysms, we now kept the paint hung from the pier by a rope, which worked as long as somebody on the pier would move the paint for you as you moved. Our fearless leader was not really into that helping nonsense. Well, anyway, we had a 20-minute lunch break, and we were given box lunches and told just to stay on the boat. Box lunches in the military, or what I imagine a civilian might think, is what a prison lunch in Maricopa County, Arizona is like. Did I say that right? Maricopa? Whatever. Well, instead of eating, we decided just to row under the pier, tie off to one of the pilings, and take a nap. The boat simply sank out from beneath us. Talk about a rude awakening. Jesus. Time 4. I tied the boat to the pier while I went to go get some more paint. Came back, and the only thing that was left where I had tied the boat up was 2 floating brooms. At least that time I didn't get wet. Number 5. Now that was an interesting one. And I'm going to take full responsibility on this one. See, one of the problems that really plagued the efforts to paint the waterline is that when the boats weren't sinking, it was very difficult to keep it in one spot while you painted. You'd try to apply paint. As soon as you put the roller on the side of the ship and pressed, the boat moved away. It's science and shit. Trust me. 2 college degrees, 1 week. So I came up with an innovative plan. In boot camp back then anyway. I don't know if they still do. Probably not after I was in. But back then, in boot camp, they told you to adapt and overcome. So that's what I did. I had noticed a couple 5-gallon cans of paint that no longer had paint in them. They were filled with concrete with a pole sticking out of the middle. They were probably going to make one of those signs that says, you know, ship's kiss ass parking. Whatever. Well, I took one of those down with me into the boat, tied a rope off, one end to the bucket of concrete, and the other to this little hook on the bow of the paint boat. I felt very accomplished up until this point. I heaved that anchor over the side, very proud of what I was doing. And I watched as the rope paid out. What I failed to do was make sure that I had enough rope. So before the bucket could reach the bottom, I had run out of rope. So I just peeled the bow off like one of the old school cans, like that. Just, and that boat sank within seconds. Still, I can be proud for knowing that I secured a very tight knot. Now we get to the meat of it. The most harrowing experience in the paint punt was time number 6. See, our fearless leader decided that now that we had finally got the waterline painted, it was time to level up to the boss battle and somehow paint where the camelbacks buffered the ship from the pier. Well, now it was his turn to have a bright idea. These are huge, probably, I would say, in the realm of 12 to 20 feet long and 5 to 8 feet tall in the water, and they're round and wet and slippery. He tells us that the ship pulls away from the buffers like every 15 to 20 minutes, with the current. And it leaves enough space to get the paint punt in there so you can do the job. And I asked him if this was necessary. And he said, yes. So I told Luna, okay, let's go. And then our fearless leader, this guy, he says right to my face, no, Burks, just you. I don't want to risk both of you. Well, I got in the boat. I made my way to the first camelback, and I waited for the right moment. Finally, the ship moved away, and I inserted my boat and my person into the gap. I painted what I could reach. Then I would put one hand on the ship and one hand on the camelback and scoot myself forward and paint another section. But the third section, I put my hand on the ship and the hand on the camelback and went to move, and nothing. That boat did not move. Not even a little bit. Wedged. I yelled up to the pier, and our intrepid boss came up to the side. What? The boat is stuck. Bullshit. It was about that time that the disconcerting sound of crushing a soda can in very slow motion could be heard. And the sides of the paint punt were starting to cave in. Well, our dauntless director remained unfazed. He told me to tie the paint off with a rope and told Luna to haul around on the other side to get the paint on the pier because, priorities. The crushing noise got louder and the boat started collapsing in on itself. He yelled down to me to climb up onto the camelback. Yeah, easy. Now the camelback, as stated before, is large, round, slippery, and wet. And no matter what I did, I just kept sliding back down the camelback. I try to climb up, slide back down, accompanied by like squeaky noises and noises of aluminum being crushed. Thankfully, my son, Luna, well, that's an explanation for another time. threw down a line and hauled me up onto the camelback right in time for that boat to get smashed flat with a sound like a balloon popping. It's a sound I'll never forget. A couple minutes later, the ship moved back away, and that pancaked aluminum just slipped into the grimy deep. Well, after that I lost one in Guam, and I lost one in Bahrain. My fearless leader decided that he had had enough. He told me on a Friday to write a 500-word essay and turn it in on Monday. 500-word essay had to be about, respecting government property and good stewardship of the environment. Well, he wanted an essay. I gave him an essay. I wrote a scathing essay basically saying that if the Navy had provided the correct equipment in good condition to start with, and if the supervisor had been more competent, this probably wouldn't have happened. And I made that thing exactly 500 words. Not 501. Not 499, no, 500. I had numbered them. I still have that essay somewhere. If I can find it, there's a picture popping up right now. Guess not. Well, I turned that in on Monday morning, and he was not amused. In fact, he wanted me to be put on report. He gave my essay to the Master-at-Arms, hoping that they could use that as evidence for disrespect to a petty officer. But the Master-at-Arms thought that was hilarious, and they told that poor bastard just to get over it. And as an interesting sidebar, he got kicked out of the Navy around a year later, and I unwittingly helped the case against him. But that's another story for a different time. So the moral of today's story, moral? What moral? Is that any moment on the water can bring titanic disasters. Miniature Titanic, anyway. And tell me what you think of these. These are great. And until next time, may your boat always float, free of wakes and heavy seas. Cheers. God, that's delicious. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning. Putting it along, put it till he's sober. Putting it along. Sweet. Boy, I'd have better luck cutting this lime with a fucking hammer. Jesus. Syrup. But I found, and one. But it's a little more bougie, not bougie. It's boozy. God, these go down so good. I'm gonna need another one. Myself. That fucking hurt. Remember to like and subscribe. It's down there. Down there, Scooter. Go ahead and hit that bell and a little subscribe button. Come on, man. Subscribe's over there. I don't even know where the bell's at. Subscribe should be down there. Hit it. Like is down there somewhere. God bless America. God save the king. You know what? Tomorrow is Easter. And I cannot think of a better way to celebrate Easter than to drink so much rum on Saturday night that when I wake up on Sunday morning, it's like rising from the dead. Oh, I just lost subscribers.